bad in translation. The Qingming festival is upon us, and most foreign media conveniently translate it as Tomb Sweeping Day. This is sweet and simple, but maybe a greater service to global knowledge could be done if China's key concepts weren't translated at all but adopted. Obviously, the word Qingming looks and sounds rather un-European. Most Western journalists in China prefer Chinese-free international language and thus bend over backwards to replace important Chinese terms with Western vocabulary. Qingming would have made a nice loanword like Kung Fu or Feng Shui, but it wasn't meant to be. Although there are a billion Chinese speakers, Qing and Ming never quite made it into any Western lexicon. Why? Although I agree that we can all call the Qingming festival whatever we want, there is no such thing as cultural property rights, not yet. Still, any translation is just that, a replacement. Even more dubious is the practice to affix Chinese to random ideas, as in Chinese Memorial Day or Chinese Ancestor Day. The occasional tourist loves familiarity, but why deprive educated readers from learning something new? It is well documented that the European missionaries in the past attempted to convert China to Christianity and tried to coin the Qingming festival as All Souls Day, which then of course would make it perfectly resemble a Roman Catholic holiday. From such motives we see and learn. Why not turn the table and planetize Chinese names instead? China replacing US culture with a vengeance? Anyone? As Confucius once said, if the names are not correct, language is not in accordance with the truth of things. This is known as the rectification of names, and it could save Qingming, Chunjie, commonly known as Spring Festival, Duanwu, commonly known as Double Five or Dragon Boat Festival, and a lot more holidays. More could be said about the socio-cultural originality and the future of global language. Here only so much. Nations should compete for the terminologies just as they compete for everything else. Take Germany and her obsession with holiness. The German vernacular is based on Martin Luther's German translation of the Latin Bible, and, few remember, the Germans are the direct descendants of the Holy Roman Empire of German nation. Therefore, it is no coincidence that wherever those German scholars and philosophers ventured, they used biblical vocabulary to describe what they encountered. That's why German scholars called Confucius a holy man or saint, Heiliger, based on Saint Jerome and Saint Nicholas, alias Santa Claus. The correct term for Confucius is Shengren. The English language is equally challenged when it comes to accurately conveying Chinese ideas. The British called Junzi a gentleman, no surprise here. The Americans have no gentleman, so they translated Junzi as the superior man. The Germans have no gentleman either, and superior man is reserved, so they call Junzi an Edler, meaning a person of noble blood. To sum up, all Europeans call Junzi anything but Junzi, which is quite a scandal. Without hesitation, I would thus argue that the Chinese do not do enough to promote their own originality to the West. They, like the Japanese and Koreans perhaps, keep their great cultural inventions all to themselves, so to speak, which is a great pity to watch. The fact that your author knows about Qingming Festival or Chunjie is purely a function of my living here. In fact, had I not come to China, I would have never learned that China is a Wenming, that it has Shengren and Jinzi, that it aspires to Datong, the great harmony, and that Confucianism isn't a religion, that's not even its correct name, it's Rujia. Some commentators have argued that it is pointless that the Qingming festival, which had existed since the Zhou dynasty in the 11th to 3rd centuries BC, could survive and escape westernization. This, of course, is a question about what do we respect more, a translation or the original. Let us think carefully for a moment about who we want to be remembered as, not what but who, no matter what China is going to become. China will never recover her true originality if she tries to please the West on Western terms. I have always believed that all cultures contribute to human knowledge, but in order to have Chinese originality be seen, you've got to write it down. The festival's name is Qingming.